Hey now,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. Good evening. How are you?
Good. I finally get to meet you. Well, virtually, at
Hey,
least.
hey, it's all relative, right? We're in the age of meta, right?
Yep, yep. It's as good
So
as
it
it
looks
gets.
exactly. So it looks like you're stuck with me today. So we kind of have this alternate set up here. So in case somebody uh is unable to be on point, you have a backup. So I am your baloney,
That's great.
if you
One
will.
day I'll probably be a baloney too.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
So that's
'cause in 2 weeks I'll be interviewing someone else. So at
okay.
some point that might happen with me too.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I won't say baloney though. I'll just stick to alternative.
Okay, good stuff. So you can hear me okay, right?
I can hear you well. How about, and you can hear me
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
I can tell with these AirPods.
Okay. Well, let's get the show going. Let's kind of go over the format just so um you're familiar, and then we probably have some other people that aren't familiar with what we do here uh with this initiative that we have, because I kind of think of it as like the Avengers, but what brings us together? Who are we? And who we are, we're a community of writers who are united by our passion for writing and a common challenge, which is word improv. And that's what brought you in. And what is word improv? And word improv, it's a writing challenge where writers write a story using a set of new words. And in a story, it's broadly defined and include like a tale, a poem, a skit, and there's no character minimum. And then you can learn new words and participate in word improv by following word improv at Word Sleuth on Instagram. I had to throw in a pitch there. You know, you got to throw in the pitch to those who brought you here, right? We're
Right.
always marketing. And as far as the purpose of this interview here, um, this is part of a series of Pass-the-Baton interviews. I believe we're on episode 13, Lucky 13. And these interviews are where contributors like ourselves to the Word Improv Challenge, we interview one another so that our community, our shared communities, and our audience learns about Word Improv. And the best part, they get to learn about our work. So we're going to have a forum to talk about our work because I'm going to pull that out of you because I was a journalist in a former life. I don't know if you knew that, but useless fact. So that said, we're going to
Fine.
dive into the particulars and I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to pivot from that introduction, and you're going to read your word improv story, and then we're just going to let it. We're just going to be organic with it. So does that work for you?
That works. You're taking the lead on this, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a bio here, and Alexandria Henry is a licensed social worker from the Bronx, New York. And I'm gonna pull that Bronx out of you because I got a homegirl from New York, and when she
Hmm.
gets mad, she says York, like YAWK. Just a side note, I'm gonna pull that out of you.
I get it
And
mixed
you
up
are
because
a
cause I'm Dominican too, so sometimes like I have my accent that comes out sometimes, so I'm like,
oh,
okay, is
okay,
it the Bronx? Is it the Dominican? Whatever.
okay, the boogie down Bronx, right?
Yup, the boogie
Oh,
down.
okay, okay, good stuff. So you're a published author, and you published a book called Songs of Freedom, and it's a collection of poems inspired by the desolation and consolation that you experienced in your relationship with the Almighty. And you're a fan of metaphors, imagery, and other literary tools that make your words be touched and felt. And you're a lover of meditation, nature, and the creative arts. So you're talking my language. So that said, with that introduction there, um, let's pivot. There's a lot to touch on there, but before we do that, let's pivot into your word improv story because I read that and I was feeling the metaphors. I was like, oh, okay. So the floor is yours.
Okay. So read it right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
This is all you. It's silent night now. I'm me and the rest of the people here. It seems like there's a lot of people in this room because I saw hearts and stuff going up.
Yeah.
This is all you.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna start, and
Shazam.
I might mispronounce some of the words. I'm not gonna lie. I did do Google searches on how you pronounce some of the words
Oh
from the
no,
word improv.
don't trip at all. Side note, there's some words that I can't say, but I can write them.
Yep.
And that's the weird thing. When I'm like performing and I get to that word, I'll be like, oh damn. And I use another word and they'd be like, hey, that ain't what you put in your book. So that said, if you mispronounce it, we it don't it's all love here. Right,
Okay.
everybody? Hearts, hearts.
Hard.
I, I was waiting for somebody to do a heart to give me acknowledgement, but
Just
let's 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 do it.
okay. 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 Yeah. So I'll start. Yeah. This is from the Word Improv Challenge number 21, the latest one.
Okay.
I have kissed this moment tucked in like a handkerchief, resplendent, hidden, and now I can only speak in sighs, lost in the magic of your breath. My hands become clumsy, oleaginous, unable to hold this moment in time as it gradually slides down my fingertips, seducing clocks as though they are my anthropomorphic friends. I am unashamedly chauvinistic as I seek to be the goddess of time, hoarding all the sand in the world with such brio. I lost a kiss of the moment from some time ago. That kiss that was once now and not from some time ago.
See, see, somebody else is out there snapping. I see a heart there. That's what's up. That's powerful. And for everybody that's out there, that piece was comprised of these 6 words that you had to make into, in this instance, prose. So that said, what did that pull out of you? Tell me that. Do you write professionally or do you do this as a hobby? Let me just wrap that around. I want to know. Everybody wants to know about that because I'm with poetry. You have to let it digest and circle back to it because I read it before and I was like, okay, all right. And my interpretation and other people's interpretation is different. So given that we had to kind of Frankenstein this together, words, tell me, what did that pull from you? What does that?
Yeah, so I write as a hobby. That's my outlet. I write as a
Okay.
hobby, and so when I wrote this poem, it was actually the moment that I was feeling very frustrated with the lack of time. That sometimes I feel like I don't have enough time, but in
Hmm.
reality, I always do have time. I'm just learning how to manage it.
Right. Right.
So that was my inspiration, just that kind of discomfort I was feeling with. I really possessive about the time that I want to have, and almost like a sense of nostalgia of times before that I felt like I was just a lot more mindful of
Right.
time, a lot more
Hmm.
mindful about the present moment. And
Hmm.
I feel like there's a part of me that feels like I want to be that person again. Where is
Right.
that
Time is
person
the one
at?
thing we can't get back.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like just learning, just like in the different seasons that I'm in my life at this moment,
Hmm.
I'm learning a different way on how do you embrace the present moment now. Like whereas
Right.
before maybe I had like less things on my calendar or in my
Hmm.
life that I feel like maybe there was less barriers in terms
Hmm.
of embracing the present moment. Whereas
Right.
now I have more stuff in my
Right,
life
right.
that it's like now I have there's like a different way that I can still there's still opportunity to embrace
Hmm.
the present moment. I just, it's just like a new learning curve for me.
Right, right. So you said this is your outlet. So when did you start writing? Because that's like that origin story. That's like that Peter Parker, that Superman story. People always ask writers that, like, when did you start? And that always, when I get asked that, I'm always like, huh? And I saw you lean back. So I'm gonna lean back in and ask you that. When did you start writing and what inspired you? Was it just that outlet? So let's dig into that. Tell me.
I don't think I've ever like really shared this, maybe to a few friends, but
Okay.
I feel like writing found me unexpectedly. I never
Okay.
thought I was going to be into writing. I was always into drawing. That was my thing. I used to draw all the time, but I
Okay.
don't anymore.
Okay.
And but in high school, I was head over heels over someone, and he was
Okay.
an amazing poet, and so
Okay.
he inspired me to write.
Um,
I was crazy in love with him that
uh-huh.
I had massive poems all about him. All
Okay.
so that was where it started from this like head over heels love for him. Uh
Okay.
I was heartbroken. So that's
Okay.
then I started writing about that. So like it started like from a lovesick time,
Uh-huh.
teenage angst in my life,
Right.
and then I think from that it just kind of stuck with me. I just
Right.
it just naturally it just become like that is where I go like when I gotta like process things or uh
It's like a symbiote.
what was that?
It's like a symbiote, right?
Like a symbiont. It's like because it
Just
just
something
happened.
that kind of bonds to you. Because you said something that just it it echoes because I just feel everything that you said there. It pulls you in, and then there's like usually a conduit because with myself, I did it for a girl as well. I actually lied. Well, it was a dual purpose. I lied to a girl and said, "Oh, I'm the editor of the school newspaper," and she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me see some of your specs." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I figured, hey, that'd be a good way to impress my pops. So I
Mm.
had to figure out a way to talk myself way on into the newspaper. And once I got there, it just kind of pulled me in. So it's interesting to hear you say that.
That is so, and the fact that you got so invested into it to the point that it kind of became just part of you. Like, oh, actually, I do like to
Yeah,
write. You know,
right.
because that's what happened with me. Like because
Mm,
like my so like I I used to journal. That was my thing. Like when I was 8 years
okay.
old, I used to journal. Like right after I'm done with school, I'll just complain
Hmm.
about my sisters or like something. I liked it,
Do you still
and
have those journals? Sidebar, side question.
well,
You still have those journals?
had those journals, but then during the time that I was living away from my family, they
Hmm.
were moving, and I don't know
Oh,
where
okay.
I don't know where they are. But yeah, so I was like really heartbroken when I was like looking for all these journals, and I don't know
Right.
where they are at this point. But and the thing is like I don't know. It's just very interesting. Like I thought it was because poetry that's a whole different category. So like
Yes.
with when it comes to journaling, I was
Hmm.
also into writing short stories. That was
Okay.
something I was really into, and because like at that time I've only written maybe one poem when I was like 10 years old, and
Hmm.
I hated it. Like I didn't like it, I didn't enjoy
Okay.
it. But it was like during high school, that was a time that it kind of like opened this new door, like okay,
Okay.
like just expanding. Like there's so many different ways to use words that I didn't think I was capable of. And
Yeah.
so like I think when it comes to writing for me, like I love nature. I get a lot of
Hmm.
inspiration from nature. I love like
You speaking to
I
the
love
choir here. You're talking to the choir here. When I saw that, I was like, oh, oh. Just kind of like that Tyrone Biggums character when he was just like, oh, oh.
exactly.
Is
Because
so tell me this. not to cut in, but I'm just curious about that. Given your inclination from nature, that's like my superpower. I go out there at the water's edge, plug for my book, but I go down to the water's edge, and that just
Oh, that's me. That's
it
me.
just it's the spark hits, and I just create from there. So is that your venue when you're out there? Tell me about that. What does that
Mm.
pull from you?
Mm. I do like water. I love places
Okay.
with water. I do like that, But I think in general, like, like I'm I don't know how you say it, but like I'm a fan of personification, like when you
Okay.
attribute human characteristics to inanimate
Yes.
objects. So like just looking at nature, see it run its course. It's
Yes.
like they're taking on human characteristics in a way. So like it's almost like, I don't want to sound like weird or anything like that,
No,
but
no, no,
like
no, no. This is a safe place because this is what I'm trying to pull out because that's that's been my question with what you're saying. So continue.
because it's like no, because now it's like you're entering in my mind. Okay, this is what happens
No,
now. But it's just
no.
like, because like even with picturing a tree, like
Mhm.
this is just very basic. Like, picturing the
Yeah.
tree, I'm seeing the tree and seeing the branches, and it's like uh it just seeing it as though like it is taking on human characteristics. Like it's carrying the leaves, like,
Yeah.
and me imagining like, what if I was a tree? How would that be
Right.
like? And almost like
Right.
becoming the tree. I'm not thinking,
Mhm.
I don't think that way, but
Right.
I feel like the way that this is the best that I can explain it, and so like
Yeah.
I think like, I think when I write, I just I don't know, just I just try to like really sink into the moment. Like
Right.
I'm like breathing into the moment, and
Right.
and
We
I
gotta we
also,
gotta amen that. Somebody said amen. Well, they said
amen.
yes. But
Yes.
that we're gonna say that. I think that's key because with you being a creative, and I guess I'm a creative too. I'm always put
Yeah.
people. I'm always pushing back on that. People like you, an author. You wrote 2 books, and I'm just like,
But
and it's
yeah.
just like it's very it's very surreal. It's very surreal. I'm I'm not big on titles, but I'm big on the acknowledgement of it. But and I think you could probably attest to it. Our words operate on so many different frequencies and they hit people in different ways. And when people echo back what that did for them, it's it's very surreal. And then when you go back to that origin place, like you said, nature, you're just like, oh, I just picked that up from there. But people just think that it's seamless. And and this is a question I'll just kind of echo back, or maybe I'm speaking for myself. Many writers, they create from this something I call the conversion method. You're always going to go through something. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're always going through some shiggity, some drama, and
Mm-hmm.
this was something my old man told me. Like I was looking at He-Man back in the day. I'm that old, and my old man saw me looking at He-Man, and he's like, "Young blood, if you keep your nose in these books, you'll be more powerful than some man running around in his underwear.
Mm-hmm.
So keep watching the man running around in his underwear if you want to. Go play with them books over there in the corner." And he's like, you know what? You finished with that. Go read those encyclopedias over there in the corner. And that was my practice. So all
Mm.
of
But
those
this is
words,
before you found the girl, like who you're
yeah,
trying to impress,
this is like,
or
yeah, this is
after?
before then. This like my dad was like training me for this. And like, before he left this place, he laughed about it and he would be like, hey, what to tell you? And I'm just like, okay. He would always say these words will save your life.
Mm.
And given that tie-in with water, the baptismal quality, it
Mm-hmm.
nourishes us. If it's a duality, it can cleanse us, it nourishes us,
Mm-hmm.
and if we take it too far, it can drown us. So
Mm-hmm.
for us to pull creation from that, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a powerful thing. So it isn't weird, and I mean that just that echoes. So I thank you for that.
And the thing is, like, because I also I like I find more inspiration. Like, yes, I may be in a place of nature, I may be sitting by the tree,
Hmm. Hmm.
but then I feel even more connected when I can just dig inside and to this
Right.
whatever discomfort I'm feeling,
Hmm.
which is pretty ironic, it's like
Right.
this is a place of peace and I'm looking for discomfort, but it's
Right.
like when I'm looking for that discomfort, it's gonna bear fruit, like
Right.
because I'm creating something beautiful and something that's
Right.
worthy of connection,
Right.
from that. So it's
It's
like
like
it's not by
biofuel.
itself. What was it?
Like biofuel.
Like
We're
barbecue. You
taking
see?
we're taking all of the ugly and we're converting it
Mm-hmm.
into something of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
that's the beauty of poetry. So that leads me to the other question I had. So I think we already know, but what is your preferred writing style? Is it poetry or
Mm.
there's so many. When I think of writing, I just think of martial arts and I think of those old kung fu movies. And people ask because I'm a poet as well, and people, I'm an older cat. A lot of times young folks see me like, oh, what you got, pops? And then it's like, oh, I'm not your pops. And then I become a battle poet. you know.
Uh,
So, those different writing styles. So what's yours?
mm. Um this is interesting because I'm most comfortable with
Hmm.
prose free write. That's what I'm most
Okay.
comfortable with.
Hmm.
But so like during the pandemic, I after so I published my book 2019. After I had published
Yes.
that,
Hmm.
I had gone through an intense period of imposter syndrome, so it was very difficult for me
Yes.
to write
Yes.
after
Well,
that.
let's speak to that. Go ahead.
I was going through an intense desert, and then the pandemic happened, and
Right.
now we're coming out of that. So like I'm glad I
Hmm.
was able to find word sleuth as a way to just bring me out
Hmm.
into these, not, you mentioned waters. This is like
Right.
waters for me, yeah, but it was so, yeah, I'm going on one in circles, but
No, no, no.
prose,
Go.
free
You good.
write, that's what I'm most comfortable with. I remember in my undergrad, I took a class on creative writing. There
Mhm.
was a section where we did like Shakespearean sonnets, which was very
Okay.
challenging, very difficult, but I loved it, and
Did you?
I
Um,
did.
it-
I did.
and people may like be surprised and beat me up about it, but Sean P. Rice don't like Shakespeare. Like I'm like, I, this is in my face when I'm reading Shakespeare. I'm just like, but
But the thing
but
is, like, around
tell me,
that
no, no, no,
time,
no. I'm
no,
interested.
because like around that time when I took that class, it opened this whole new world of like
Okay.
the 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 I don't know, I'm struggling to find a word, but just like how much freedom there is in structure. I
Okay.
never discovered that, because like I like prose and free write because there's no structure. I can do it
Right.
whatever way I
Okay.
want. But with these sonnets, there was so much that I had to learn in terms of like the meter and the
Hmm.
iambic and
Hmm.
a lot of things I just don't remember now. And I would
Okay.
retake that class. But there was so much like things that I had to learn that then it opened up this whole new. It was like it's almost like you have a home, you have like all
Hmm.
these doors. I've gone to all these doors, but I never opened this one in particular. And I'm
Okay.
like, wait a second, this is a really big room. Why I
Okay. I
never
may
gone
have to
inside
revisit
here?
Shakespeare. Okay.
So I walk in and I see all these play toys or whatever, whatever,
Hmm.
like all these ways that I can use words. It was really eye opening, so
Uh
I
huh.
I
Uh
feel
huh.
like so like and so that's why I also like haikus. I feel like that's like the
Right.
easiest one I can fall into when if I'm looking for
Hmm.
structure, because it's just 3 lines. So like um
Right.
so I have a huge affinity for
Hmm.
structure,
Hmm.
because there is a lot of freedom behind that, and it really just changed my view of uh you know just, because you can tie it into life also, like routine and rules, and actually there's something about it that speaks into
Mhm.
freedom that I just never looked into before,
So your book came out in 2019. So what? Let's origin story into that. What inspired? What led you to that? Let's talk about that because um, we're gonna get people to buy the book.
Yeah,
Because it's
I
like I
have
see
it
four people in
available.
this room. So it's like, bam.
Yes. The
So
link
what's
is
the name?
on my bio.
Okay, link is on your bio. The name of your book is
Songs of Freedom.
okay.
Yeah. So this book was I was not planning on publishing that soon. That was not my plan at all. During
Okay.
that time, I was like in a leadership program. It was
Okay.
like a group where they help you with certain goals, and I had goals I wanted to achieve, and so publishing my book, it was kind of my goal actually behind writing was like publishing something like in a newsletter. I was like
Okay.
very like down low. Like this is as much as
Right.
I'm gonna do right now.
Right.
And I
Right.
think one of
Baby
my friends,
steps.
one of them said like, "Why don't you just publish a book?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh," like because I already had all these poems, and everything. So it just like it kind of just happened, like
Right.
so that was the way it happened. I feel like if I had to do it all over again, maybe it would have taken me like 20 years to get it published.
Right. Right.
But with this it took me just a little less than a year, and I
Okay.
had a friend who was able to do the illustration. She had a photo
Okay.
of me, when I was I think
Oh,
I was like
okay.
8 or 9, so she was able to outline it that way, because it has a lot of like just allusions to when just like inner child healing, just a lot
Okay.
of like shame, codependency, all these like
Okay.
ugly things I didn't want
Right.
to look at when I was
That
younger.
that healing graces, and and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's needed from folks like us. Because I
Mm-hmm.
liken writers to prophets. Not to say that we're the
Mm-hmm.
prophets of the Bible, but just like the
Mm-hmm.
prophets of
It is,
biblical
yeah.
times,
It
they
was
were dropping
interesting.
dimes, and people weren't listening to them. This
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of what we're doing. You're speaking healing
Mm-hmm.
graces.
Mm-hmm.
From your journey
Mm-hmm.
searching for
Mm-hmm.
God's face,
Mm-hmm.
when a lot of people are just kind of putting on this brave face rather
Mm-hmm.
than just kind of speaking to the angst and the tears and the snot that comes from that.
Mm, yeah, and there's a lot of wisdom that comes from it. There's a lot of wisdom when we're able to be open to
Hmm.
what is it of the pain that was hurting. There's a lot of wisdom that comes from that, when we're able to pay attention and willing to feel it and
Right.
to share it,
What's
Yeah.
been the most humbling thing you've gotten from one of your readers that's read your book?
Oh,
Uh,
what a
and
great
don't and
question.
yeah, and hey, you're talking to a writer here. I'm just curious, and don't access the memory that'll make you cry because there's always one of those. Let's
Oh,
go with like medium. But if you want to go spicy, then go spicy.
oh,
Well,
I mean, um, I can't. I'm having trouble choosing, but I do remember. This is like I don't know if my sister is here actually. She might not be. I'm
mhm,
not sure. We have like a time difference, but
mhm,
like she had brought her friends over
mhm,
uh to meet me. This is around the time that I was already like selling my book, etc.
uh-huh,
Um, and and they're like a lot younger than me, and I think at
mhm.
that time I just wasn't expecting even like even younger, like okay, I say younger, like maybe like 18, 19 years old at that time. I
Oh,
can't remember.
young
I don't know, something
whippersnapper,
like that.
young whippersnapper, right?
Yeah, and so and I think at that time like even when I saw these young girls like uh I'm trying to be careful how I word it, like
Hmm.
I think there was a part of me that it I just kind of assumed like, oh, they seem like, oh, they're put together, like they are, they got it
Right.
going on, they got it
Right.
going on, but they actually, invested into like reading my book and like
Hmm.
just sharing like specifically about like their own struggles and how
Right.
they found themselves in certain poems of that
Right.
I wrote, and then I'm like a very different person, to at least from in my own eyes. That's the way that I was
Right.
perceiving myself. Like I'm so different. Like I'm this like weird, nerdy, like shy
Hmm.
girl, and then you're coming to me and you're like a popular girl, and you're
Right.
saying that
Right.
you can relate to me. I'm like,
Right.
what? So it's just like there
Yeah.
was just a lot of moments of like almost like a reveal. Like there's
Yeah.
people I just there's people we all assume that they're doing well. There's a mask, but it's just like I
Right.
feel like my book was able to like unveil, and
Hmm.
I got to see them a lot more closely.
Right.
It's because a lot of times we see people as like they're like amazing paintings from afar, but it's
Right.
like I was
Exactly.
able to come closer and be like, wow, like we're very much alike, and the differences uh speak in some ways, but it's just like the similarities are there, like they're the vulnerability is just very uh there's more vulnerability than I could ever think there is. Like
Right.
there always is, you know.
Because you said one key thing there, and it's something I wrestled with before, and I still wrestle with it here. And I think it's part of human nature to suffer from imposter syndrome. And when I put my first book came out in 2019, and
Oh,
still to this day, people will come up to me, and sometimes people will recite something from something I wrote, and I'm like, what? Okay. These damn landscapes laid waste. And I'm like, what? Oh,
it's happened to
and
me too.
yeah, and that always takes you back, because it's always that piece that you wrote that this is the most horriblest, terriblest, stinkiest thing I ever wrote. But let me put it in the book. And it echoes with people so so differently, especially those people that it brings the tears. 6'10" giant man crying. You don't expect to see things like that. So
No,
he's speaking to
no.
the choir.
Yeah,
So tell me this. Oh, no, no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, and that's the thing. It's like because like our craft, like it's coming from our slime, like our like whatever
Yes.
it is,
Right.
it's just coming out, and it's like um and we get to choose what we want to do with it, like
Right.
there's people who just choose to hide it, and but it's just like when you're able to like embrace it,
Hmm.
and to express it and to share it in whatever form that you choose to share it. It's like you just never know who's it
Right.
gonna touch. You just never know who's it gonna like open up. Like this person that maybe you would never speak to, but all of a sudden now they're asking you questions and they're opening up.
Right.
They're sharing their own story with you. It's like, and this is all because you decided to do something out of like your own like slime or your
Right.
own
Right.
you know because
And that
I
always
think
surprises people. That always surprises people.
and it
They
does,
think
yeah.
that it just comes from like flowers, but it's just like, hey, if you like mushrooms, think of where mushrooms come from. you know. But depending
Exactly.
on who you are, mushrooms are delicious. But I
No, they
digress.
are. I love mushrooms. It took me a
Yeah,
while to like it, but I do like it.
yeah, and it's kind of what you mentioned. There's different doors that
Hmm.
we go through as we progress, especially as writers. Um, as far as the word improv story that you read that you wrote and that you read, have you did any other ones, or was that the only one that you did?
I've been doing a few other ones. I've been consistent. Maybe
Mhm.
I've done like four, maybe it's been like
Okay,
4 weeks or something. This is my
okay,
accountability. This is the thing
okay.
I'm doing. This is my homework. Like literally. Every time that the words are up, I'm like copy pasting. I take a screenshot and look up the definitions, and and like this is my homework. This is what I do, because like it's keeping me, keeping it fresh, because like I was in the desert and I'm slowly coming out of it, so I'm just
Right.
being more mindful of like what are opportunities I can just uh, uh you know uh channel um sorry, I'm having trouble finding word. Just like retraining the wheels,
Right.
just finding that again, you know.
Yes. So your book, have you written, so you say you did newsletters before. You had this first book. Have you written anything other than that? And then to piggyback on that, what about your other writing projects? Because
Mm,
I'm going to pull that out of you as well, because
mhm.
people often get fixated on your next project. Like my next project is a cookbook. My third book is a cookbook. And every time
I
people see
I
me,
heard that. I heard
yeah,
that from
yeah,
your
see,
other interview. I heard that, and then I
that's
looked you
what,
up. Then I followed you.
yeah, that's what everybody said. People see me somewhere, they like, you the crab grits man. And I'm like, the crab grits man, the stacked crab, and I'm like, oh Lord. So
That's it. It's
yes,
association. That's it. I don't
um,
I don't have like an actual project that I'm working on, but I
yeah,
just been making more time, just carving out more time to write.
mhm.
That's been what I'm doing, because like I'm like slowly just it's like I feel like I'm putting myself back on training wheels in a way.
Okay,
So I'm just like slowly coming back to that, and I will say that there's a because yeah, there was a imposter syndrome. That's one thing, but the other thing that was holding me back from just continuing on this is just like I have
mhm.
like chronic pain issues, and so like I was
Okay,
using that as an excuse in a way, like okay, I'm not gonna write because my hands hurt or my
right,
back,
right,
neck, etc. And so like I've done a lot of like I have my own rhythm now, like how
okay,
I'm living day to day with fibromyalgia. And so
okay.
like I feel like right now like I'm in a better place in terms of like I'm able to sit down and write, like I'm able to do that for and pace myself, and
Yeah,
whereas like maybe 2 years ago or something, I just maybe I would just feel like I just can't, so
that's
I'm
powerful.
giving myself like permission for that, you know yeah.
That's powerful. So other than, you have your Instagram channel, you have the book. The book is available on Amazon. Is it available anywhere else? Because Amazon is king.
No, nope, just Amazon.
And do you offer signed author copies? Because I know they're going to ask you for that. Because that's another thing about imposter syndrome that I learned, is that people see me like, hey, you signed my book. And I'll be like, why do you want me to sign your book? And they're like, you're so I'm gonna have to push that back onto you. So do you offer signed author copies?
If they want to meet me in the Bronx, yes.
Okay. Do you ship do you ship out at all? Do you ship directly? Do you
I
direct them?
Right now I'm not. Right now I'm
Okay.
not. I know in the very beginning I was, yeah, but I
Okay.
have a few things on my hands that I'm not able to commit
Gotcha.
with
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
If I had some like a team people,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, but very
Okay.
good, you asked very good question, so yeah.
Okay. So Amazon good people to get the
Yes,
book.
yes.
Um and then as far as just to kind of bring it full circle, you're gonna be in the interviewer seat and in the coming weeks. So interview 14, do you have the particulars on that? And if you don't have the particulars on that, it doesn't,
I
it's a
do,
no.
but it's on the phone and I don't have it with, yeah,
Yeah,
like I'm on the live, so I don't have the actual person's name. I am so sorry,
yeah,
but
we don't need
I
that
needed to do
because
that, right?
yeah, no, you don't need that. I was just curious. And this is, given that, we have a full house here, it's like 5 people plus us, that's 7, that's a number of significance. So it's a full house here. So, um, they'll probably want to be tuned in with that as well. But that'll be part of um, the offering or the breakdown in this post. So it's been great. It's been great rapping with you. Um, and I'm wondering if we've left anything out because I promised I was going to pull we talked about the origin stories, what inspired you to write. We talked about imposter syndrome, but let's let's close with that. You talked about imposter syndrome. You talked about using writing as a medium for pain mediation. And I think that may echo with a lot of people. So, can you kind of speak to that or drop some gems for people and then just kind of wrap that into like a plug for your book and then do the ta-da?
Wait, have so many steps. Where do I start?
Well, let's start with yeah, I know I threw a lot out there, but let's start with what echoes with people. You mentioned using writing as a form of pain mediation.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm, mhm,
can you kind of speak to that? Because I think that everybody's going through some type of elemental force of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, and I think your book touches on a lot of that. Um,
mhm.
so can you like speak to that and kind of
Yeah, writing in itself, like, there's so many like scientific benefits to it, there really
mhm,
is, and like we're using our brains when we write, and so just think about when it comes to pain, like
mhm,
general pain, all kinds of pain, whether it's
mhm,
physical, emotional, it's really like the brain's opinion of
mhm,
what you're going through, like it starts in the brain. That's where it starts. And the thing with writing is that it's whether the person is a creative or not, like whether the person gravitates towards writing or not, like they still like if you have a posture of like openness, receptivity, like
mhm.
willingness to just
Yes.
write, and like even setting a timer for 5 minutes, 10
Mhm.
minutes, and some people like journaling prompts, to
Yes.
get them grounded on what it is that I'm gonna write, that can um that can really like open up like floodgates, and
Mm.
it's a release, because we're holding on so much tension. I hold a lot of tension on my neck,
Right.
I know when I'm holding tension, like so like with writing, it helps me to pay attention. It's a
Mhm.
form of awareness, like you're
Yes.
being more aware of what you're thinking, you're being more aware of what you're feeling, and then you're
Yes.
putting it on paper. So it's like you're releasing it, you're pouring it on paper, and it's a whole process in itself, and I feel like with me it's I don't know, it's just a great way to connect, and also in my own relationship with God, it's like because it becomes then like an encounter, I'm encountering
Yes.
God, like I'm putting it on paper, and it just doesn't stay with me, and with chronic pain specifically, that's something that I'm still like exploring, because like I'm
Mhm.
I'm really into like mind body awareness. That's
Right.
I'm currently off of all medication from chronic pain, so I'm just learning
That's
how to manage
powerful.
it, manage
That's
it on my
powerful.
own. And I've been off of medication for let me see, maybe 3 years, almost three
That's
years, and
powerful.
I've been doing pretty good. Like, like I still need to rest here and now and then. I still like have I like I found what's my rhythm, what's the thing that works for
Right.
me,
Mhm.
and it's been very helpful, but so with writing, it's just like a great way, like awareness tool to
So
it,
you're like rerouting that energy into something else. You're just basically radiating it from the fingers onto the pen, onto the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we gotta find what is our thing. Some people,
Right.
I've been a recipient of like dance therapy or art therapy. So like with dance, it's amazing, like with dance
Mhm.
therapy, because it's like you're you have these emotions, and
Mhm.
you're dancing with it, you're dancing like you're like it's on you, and then
Right.
when you're done, it's still on you, but it's like it's been processed. It's so weird. It's amazing,
Yeah.
Whereas
It's
like, with
poetry.
and it's a form of poetry, you're using your actual body, it's just speaking,
Right.
and you're listening to it, and so like with all forms of art, it's like you're putting your pain somewhere, you're putting
Yes.
your thoughts, your emotions somewhere, and it's helping you to like process it, to like
Hmm.
feeling it, to experiencing it, to expressing it, and releasing it. So I'm just like, we all gotta find what is that thing that's gonna help us like process. We whether it's writing, whether it's drawing, whatever it is, because it's like a lot of, like we're in this generation of like chronic pain. Almost
Yeah.
everyone has like back pain. There's always and that's not normal. That is
No, it
not
isn't.
normal,
It is not.
So and so I mean I can go on and about that, but
Yeah, but you're
so
speaking to the choir. I mean, that is. I think it's gotten to a point where we are normalizing it. We are
exactly,
normalizing the unacceptable. I mean,
exactly.
that's unacceptable. And I would like knock this phone over, but this phone costs a lot. And, I got a lot of my writing and stuff on here.
Me too, man.
So, book two. Is there a book two in the future, in the near future?
Not yet. I've
Not yet.
flirted with that idea for
Okay.
a while, but I'm not sure. I've been, yeah, not
Okay. We're
not
just
sure.
planting the seed
I'll
so they
leave it at
can.
that.
So where else can they catch your work? I know we mentioned that they can buy the book on Amazon. Um, and is there any place else where they can catch your work on Instagram? Are you on Twitter? You got some handles? You know,
That is
let them
all
know.
like I do have a Twitter, but it's pretty inactive. I
Mhm,
don't I'm not as active on social media. Every now and then I'll be on Instagram, so
mhm.
I'll be real with that. I used to have a website, but it was a lot to manage on my own, and I don't know,
Yeah,
I barely know tech stuff, so I just have to shut it down, and I've been happiest ever since.
I understand. It's a ordeal, and
It is.
I run my own website, and I learn how to do code through trial and error, and I do my thing on Instagram and on Twitter. And truth be told, I don't like social media. And people are
Me
just like,
too.
you don't like social media? And I'm like, no, I don't, but I'm a writer. So it just, you have to. We have to use
Exactly.
these forums like this to plug our work, like to plug your book and to plug my book as well. So it's been a pleasure to chop it up with you here and just bearing witness to everybody showing us love here. So please go on to Amazon and buy Aunt Alexandria's book. And feel free to search me, SeanPWrites.com, anywhere on your favorite search engine. I think do people still use Bing?
Do people
It's,
what?
do people still use Bing? It's what, Bing and Google,
Oh,
right?
Bing. Yeah, I don't like Bing though. I use
Yeah, nobody
Google.
likes Bing anymore. Whenever you say that, people kind of look at you funny like that. But it's,
Like, what do you Bing?
yeah, they was like, how old are you? But, but it's been a pleasure. So I'm looking forward to catching your interview on the upcoming one. And then just feel free to use this as a plug for us to sell more books. And everybody, please feel free to subscribe and follow Pass the Baton. We're going to keep this train moving. And
Hmm.
it's been a pleasure, privilege, and an honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you out there in the metaverse, and let's keep making the earth shake with words.
Okay. Bye.